Hey everybody, welcome to In the Oven, a series where I look at games that are still in development, still in early access, as it were, and let you kind of know if I think they're worth buying right now. I get that question a lot on stream, hey, this is still in development, I know it isn't finished, but is it feature rich enough? Does it do a good time introducing the player that you would recommend I pick it up right now? And I'll gladly answer those questions on when I'm streaming, but there's a wider group of people that probably don't know my stream exists, so this will serve as a PSA to the internet. Everyone out there who's wondering, hey, is Space Haven good enough to play right now? What I'll do logistically in this episode and future episodes is I'll look at the startup of a game from, the menus, the tutorial introduction to it. Does it train the player on how to play it well enough? Because a lot of times when games in early access first come out, they might not have a very good tutorial, and then you just spent like $20, $30, $40 on something and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? It's kind of a bad player experience, right? And then we'll jump to a save and I'll let you see, okay, here's the tale, here's what the game has going on later down the road. And is there enough stuff there for you to kind of pick it up and, enjoy your time with it? Okay, without further ado, this is the startup screen of Space Haven. It tells you that, hey, this is an alpha, there's stuff that we're working on. There are things that are broken and bad, let us know. You can sign up for a cloud account here, which I guess helps you send feedback and report issues to them. I haven't done that, so we're just going to hit skip. And we get this title screen. Woman in this very space-sounding voice says, hello, we'll meet again. So this is the menu we got over here, very standard menu. Excuse me. And it also tells you up here in the top right where they are in their development process. No developer has the same, at least public-facing, alpha beta stages or whatever. They are calling this Alpha 10. What Alpha 10 basically introduced to the game is research. It's a research tree. Oh, I somehow alt-tabbed. And it adds a lot of stuff. I think it adds a really good path for the player. For, learning how to play the game, what is important, what should you be building, and what should you focus on. I think the research tree kind of helps guide you, and I think it kind of adds to the tale for sure of replayability and fun stuff that adds to the challenge of the game, I guess, let's say. So really quick, I do like showing people the options menu, like the settings menus, because sometimes a game might be kind of trash when it's still in early development in terms of optimization. Luckily that doesn't seem to be a problem with this game, and also there aren't really many settings here. You can set a resolution, full screen, borderless, auto send crash reports, do you want bloom on, all that good stuff. For some reason the sound settings are under gameplay. If I have one criticism of that, maybe just add another tab that says sound. There seems to be plenty of space in here for that, and I don't think of going into gameplay to change the sound settings, which I did do because the music is far too loud if you don't turn it down, in my opinion. But that's going to be different for everybody depending on your setup. So they left enough leeway where I could set the music at a reasonable volume for me. The backgrounds is just how pretty do you want space to be when you're playing the game? How pretty you want it to all look? I have it on high and normal. I don't know what big necessarily means. I guess the planets could be bigger. And we'll look at key bindings. Guess what? They're key bindings, and you can change all of them, which is good. All PC games should have that. I mean, really, all games should have this. Even if your game's on console, it should let you remap anything to anything, because that helps people who need to change that kind of thing. Or if you just want to, that should just be there. Anyway, let's hit new game. We'll just start into something fresh, and we'll let you see what it's like, just getting into it. What is it like for someone who has no idea what the fuck they're doing? So select the game mode. There's normal, and that's all we got right now. So we're going to select normal, and we're going to select basic platform. Basically, they give you a basic ship, and they tell you how to play the game. It's basically their tutorial. Goodness, basic counter in the fucking should be on this video. And also there's a game name, so this is going to be whatever you want to save the game as. So we're just going to call it YouTube vid save. Save 1. Great, perfect. Hit next. This is a die, essentially, that you can click, and it rolls new seeds for you. You could press it a bunch, because I don't know what these numbers really mean. But I'm assuming also you could probably go and see what seed your save has, and if you had a wild save, you could probably say, hey, play this seed, some crazy stuff happens, and you could let people on the Discord or forums know, seed 983681886 is very cool. So you can do that. Select difficulty. Okay, so here we have difficulty. I've been doing builder because peaceful basically means there's very little enemies and there's tons of resources, so it doesn't seem that challenging. I've been doing builder because I am not, the true game. I'm not the true gamer. I'm not the best at these type of games. I really enjoy them, but I can get flustered pretty easily when a bunch of aliens are all over your ship, or when a bunch of pirates are attacking your ship and you can't get them off of you. So I've had it set to builder, and I think that's going to be a good difficulty going for the purposes of this video. So I'll hit next. Oh, also, if you're wondering, so as builder, play the game as the builder difficulty level. Start with decent resources found in the galaxy will be plentiful. You'll face some adversity in your travels, but allowing for more relaxed play style. That is what I am into. We do want scenario hints checked on, because then it kind of tells you how to play the game. You'll start with 4 crew members. The hangars will have ships in them, which is like, a shuttle and pods to get resources from off of planets. And then we have resources here. So this is how much storage you're going to start with total on the ship, 500. And they're starting off with a bunch of stuff. Food, different blocks, which are resources that you need to build things. And the ship will also be populated with, the items that you need to survive, essentially, at the very start. I'm not going to go through all of these right now. That's kind of the important stuff. Let's hit next. And here you can actually name your crewmates. I did do a thing on Twitch where I told people I would name characters off of them. And so these are names of the crew members. You can select them all, and they do have a bunch of different skill sets here, which are very important. So if you want to make sure your crew is not trash, you can go, I don't think you can really manually change it, but you can essentially just roll until you get someone that you like, and you get a full view of all of your team's skills here. So really, I would suggest just rolling until mostly everything is 2s or 3s, and that's how you'll have like a decently well-balanced crew. You also did get to see their occupation and a trait. Some of them might have, so someone here, it looks like Eugenie has a suicidal tendency, which can be rough, because if they get really if they have a bad time on your ship, which sometimes does happen, they might kill themselves, and then you've lost a crew member, so that can be kind of rough. So we could just roll for someone who's instead hardworking. When I played my first game, I like to just hit the die a bunch of times and just see what the fuck I get and just deal with it. I definitely have some team skills as 1s on my real save. I'm not going to do that here because I don't want it to be a nightmare, but that is sometimes fun. So I'm actually going to hit back, and we are going to, instead of going with that one, because I promised people at my stream that I would let them be in the game if they came and hung out with me during one of my streams. I'm going to load the one where I have named everybody on the ship, but essentially it's just the same thing. I just went through, picked the people, and then named them. But we're going to load that save, and we got everyone's name who was at the stream that day. So shout out to Dr. Cork Wobbler, Gyropunk, Your Mom's Butt, and Rundage, who were all at the stream the other day. Thank you guys for coming by. I appreciate it. All right, so this is what it looks like when you just hit start as well. You get this screen. The game also starts paused because they don't want it to be a nightmare as soon as you show up. As you can tell, okay, so this has changed since the last time I started a new game. So I guess they changed this for Alpha 10. But basically, there is not shit on this ship. We have a ship, we have a shuttle, and I don't see... Oh, here we go. Welcome to Space Haven. I was like, just want to make sure. Okay, good. We're getting those notifications. Auto open new objectives. We'll want that because, hey, I'm a new player. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's see what the tutorialization is like for the beginning of the game. So hit the play button. There's nowhere to rest. There's no tools facility. All right, so this is different from when I last played. They started you on a ship where it basically had everything you needed. And I guess they figured we should probably teach people how to build something right from go, because that's you really need to plan out your ship and build your ship in a thoughtful way. I think so, at least. I mean, maybe this was the same as it was before. Maybe I'm totally misremembering, but it looks like they're really saying, hey, there isn't shit here, but you have the resources, so go ahead and make stuff. So we get this pop-up, build tools facility. It tells you how to get there. You'll need tools to, which is a resource, by the way. So you see here, building tools. We have none right now. We need to build a tools facility so that we can do that. So I know where that is, so I'll just take you there because the game just told us. So you go to build. I believe it's in resources. It is tools facility, and we're just going to put it right up against this wall over here. And we'll hit play so people start to work on that. When you place items, you can select them and say, hey, this is a high construct priority, and then it will kind of make sure people go and do that thing first if there's other construction projects. You can also click here on jobs and assign people to do those tasks. So if Rundage over here didn't take up the task of building this thing immediately, I could select someone, click on them, and then say, all right, go ahead. Also it says our ship's storage is full. So let's go ahead and build another storage container. Because you don't want to run out of storage space. You will be getting resources. So it says ship storage is full, and so you would go to the menu, you see storage, you see large storage. It didn't tell us how to do that, but that's pretty self-explanatory, right? Nowhere to sleep. So you click on this, and they're saying, hey, nowhere to sleep. Oh, all right, maybe let's just, we'll try to follow the tutorial a little bit more. So, if I'm truly a new player, I might just not be building all this stuff, but you are getting these notifications. So right away, you're probably like, okay, well, storage is full. All right, I'm building a new storage, nowhere to rest. Okay, so I probably need beds, you would assume, but they're saying, hey, you probably want oxygen in here. And that's true. I do want oxygen in here. So it's telling you where to go to build oxygen, build an oxygen generator, and also where to build a gas scrubber. So we'll go in here. I believe both are in life support, so we're going to build a gas scrubber first, which is going to knock out any bad gases in the room, and then this is bad. I should have built it over one spot. There we go. And then I will build the oxygen generator right next to it. They just look similar. They kind of, work in tandem, so I'm going to put them right next to each other, right next to this beautiful power generator that we have right here, the Energirium power generator. All right, so we're creating optimal gas conditions. It says nowhere to rest, and since you and I are very brilliant players, we're going to be like, okay, I probably need beds then. So let's click furniture. Oh, and there's beds. I have 4 people, so I could build bunk beds. You can see there is a build cost associated with everything. So, all right, you see the build cost. It'll tell you if you don't have the materials to build, but you can also just look here. Okay, it requires 4 of those orange looking things and 40 tools. We have 120 tools right now because of the tools thing that we just built. I'm going to close that really quick. And, I want to make this go away, so I'm just going to put beds in so people can sleep somewhere. I'm going to put them over here because I know from experience that you don't want to sleep near where your workstations are and where loud, noisy things are. So I'm going to put the beds over there because then it's very uncomfortable to sleep where, maybe there's noxious fumes from this power generator. Maybe someone's working at a table. It makes a lot of noise. It's uncomfortable for them to sleep in. So we're going to put the beds over there. All right, now what's the game telling us to do next? One of the following objects they want us to build. It's a thermal regulator. This is going to set the temperature on your ship because you're out in space. You could be close to a star. It could be very cold out around your ship. So let's go ahead and we will build a thermal regulator. I'm just going to build a normal looking thermal regulator because these seem to work better than the ones that go on a wall, but they also cost more resources. So if you look at both of them, use a kind of green looking block, which is called an infrastructure block, an infra block. But one takes 10 wrenches and screwdrivers, the building tools. But we kind of have a lot of building tools right now. We have 420, so let's go for a regular one. We're going to set it right here. And you'll notice while I'm placing that in the bottom right, you get this little temperature area, and it says the temperature here is very mild right now. It's perfectly fine. So I'm just going to set this right here in the middle and hope that it turns out well. We'll click it. High construction. This is also a good time to go over. There are, you can pause the game at any time, even if you're in combat or anything. You can also speed it up, so I can hit 2 times speed, 3 times speed, 4 times speed. And you click on this and you're like, oh shit, no power. Well, that's not great. And the game, wow. Okay, they actually did a really great job with this, in my opinion. They're basically saying, hey, you put this thing in a place where there's no power, you need to add power to this area. These are the things that you can build to do that. So I'm gonna hit close. I'll go to power like they told me, and I'll hit in-floor power node. And when you place this down, again, we get this little menu over here. Tells you how power is distributed amongst the ship. Let's put it right there at the edge of where the last one goes. We'll speed it up a little bit. So actually I'm gonna hit play and I'll explain that menu now, this context menu over here. So as you hit the F key, its default assignment, it cycles you through these different views of your ship. The first one is vents. We don't have any vents right now, but that basically tells you how's the airflow going to work in your ship. If you have walls and vents put into place or doors, it's going to tell you like, hey, you can't, there's no air going through here. So if you have your oxygen generator in here and there's no oxygen in here and the vent is closed, that would be a problem for you. And you could see that on the vent scene. If you hit F again, I'm going to pause it really quick. If you hit F again, you're going to see water vapor levels. There's no water vapor in here. I think that's fine. You generally want it between medium and none. And a lot of my games right now, I think it's around medium, but it's not really a huge deal. I think anything before high is okay. I think once you get to high water vapor, I'm assuming you could get damage to some of your equipment because they might rust or something. But basically, you just want the water vapor to be, closer to none than high. If you click hazardous, if you click F again, or just click on it, hazardous smoke goes between red lethal and green safe. We're very safe right now. CO2, same deal. Oxygen between red and blue, good oxygen or no oxygen. Isolated areas is basically let's say I built some objects over here against this wall and I built an object here. All of these would show up as red and you wouldn't be able to traverse that area. And that's kind of bad because then you're wasting the space. So the game's going to tell you like, hey, you're wasting space. The next one is called available jobs, which is basically there's shit to do on the ship. So if there's a bunch of available jobs around, maybe you should consider trying to get some new people working for you. The comfort levels, so that's how comfortable it is on the ship. Like I said, I want to move these beds away from things that are uncomfortable. Basically everything is uncomfortable in here right now. A large reason, and it kind of tells you as we move around, is the Energirium power generator, is these machines, is these ships. So it makes it a very uncomfortable place to be because they're noisy and they're loud and they're not fun to be around. You can't sleep near them, let's say. And then again, when we placed this basically an air conditioning unit, it'll it shows you the temperature in the room, and you basically want it to be room temperature. You don't want it to be too hot, you don't want it to be too cold, you want it to be just right for these folks. And then again, we have the power grid here. You see not on the grid, power availability none, but you could have some power pretty much. And then this is low power availability, so how much available power you really have here. Really, if it's low, it's like not a complete nightmare. It just means that like there isn't a ton of power being generated in this area, but you could have a decent amount of power being passed through this area via the power nodes delivering power to those items. So as you can see, we have the generator here and then nodes bringing power over here. And there's also this up here, so we have availability, but it's not plugged in. So if I click F again, or escape actually, sorry, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click link, and then you click there. Oh, and also the game tells you it says power not linked. So then you would click on it, and there's a button that says link. You select the power generator, and now it's linked. So if we hit play, within a few seconds it'll come up, and that warning will go away. All right, and now the game is like, hey, dude, it's like super fucking dark in here. If you want it to be less dark, maybe consider building a light. So we're going to go into builds, this furniture, and lights, just like it told us. So we're going to put a light over there, because that's where our beds are, which kind of seems counterintuitive, but basically you want to have light, and that just kind of, you know, it makes it more comfortable. So let's hit fast forward. We got that light going. So now if we hit the F key again and look at comfort, it's slightly more comfortable over here because of the light. So it's a little bit nicer. So now they're telling us to expand the ship's hull. The reason they probably want you to do that is because there's not enough room to build more items in the ship. So that at the moment we actually probably don't need a bunch more space, but they're probably suggesting it because it's very uncomfortable around here. So let's just do what they say. Edit the ship's hull. So if you hit this button, you hit edit, hit build hull. They're like, hey, add on some shit. I don't know. So I'm just gonna add over here because maybe I could, you know, put the beds over here. I don't know, whatever. So I do that, and then you'll notice these pods descend, and 2 of my people are gone. That's because 2 of them, let's see who's in there, Gyropunk and your mom's butt, are going ahead and constructing more to the ship. So they will, that's a big part of the game, is expanding your ship, is the base building, this base building aspect of it. Basically, they're, you know, you want to make it so you have enough room for all the shit that you're going to have. So they did just tell us, hey, you probably want beds and toilets. I already did the bed thing, but we do need toilets for sure. Doing the objects, facilities, toilets. This might actually be a good spot to put the toilet, because it's kind of far away from the beds. Let's hit play again and have them expand the rest of that. I think I'm going to move the beds into this corner over here because it acts as like a natural wall against these things. So you'll kind of see once something is built, you can move it. So if you click on it and you hit move, we could go over here and move it. Also, what we can do is to make it more comfortable. The game isn't really telling us this. I think they do somewhere in the tutorialization, but we've been going for 20 minutes and I kind of want to get to showing you what it might look like later on. Because you can see the tutorial so far has been pretty good, right? They're telling you all the basics of what you need. Power distribution, comfort, good air. We haven't gotten to food yet, but oh, here we go. Literally, as I say it, they're saying, hey, you're gonna need food. So they can eat from an algae dispenser or from the kitchenette. Why don't you build some of those things? That's a pretty reasonable idea. So let's cook food. Let's do a kitchenette. I'm going to put it, I'm gonna put it over here. And I'll put the dispenser, the algae dispenser right next to it. It's not placed very well. And actually these 2 tiles I think I want to delete. Dismantle, and we'll leave that wall there. So I'm going to grab these beds, like I said, and I'm going to move them into, this will be our bedroom. And then this one, oh, to rotate things, by the way, when you hit move, you can hit Q or E. Oh, it tells you right here in this menu, so you can rotate by hitting Q or E. And that's how you get that. But yeah, you can see we're getting going here, right? The game has kind of showed us like all the basics of what you need. You need power, you need oxygen, you need somewhere to shit. And you kind of start to get the idea of, okay, we need to take care of our little people, our little folks down here. And how do you do that? You need all these basic items. So I'm also going to go to wall and door. And I'm going to put a door there, I guess. And I'll finish off where I want the walls here as well. I'm going to fast forward. We'll just watch them move all the stuff. You know what we need to do? We do need to expand the power over here for their shitter. I'm also going to move the light. As you can see, I'm very good at knowing, at planning ahead for my ship, as I've moved several items already just once I've started, so. But luckily the game is really generous about that kind of thing. Like, it's not super difficult to you know, move shit around. Make it easier for yourself. So I'm gonna hit fast forward. What's happening? Oh, okay, so no one's doing anything right now, and the game hasn't explained this yet. And I'm not sure if they really will, but I think it does go through this eventually. But I'll just show you. There's a schedule that everyone is on. So this is their sleep, work, and free time schedule. When it starts you off, everyone has the same sleep schedule, same work schedule, same free time. But if you want, you could click one of those things and you can change it. So you could go here and say, I want you to have like 4 hours of free time. I don't want them to have that much free time. We're going to kind of keep them on a stricter schedule, and we're actually just going to fast forward, let people sleep. As you can see, because I decided to move the beds in the middle, like right before they went to bed, some of them are just sleeping on the floor, and that's not great because it's bad for their sleep. It's less than ideal, and it's bad for their happiness. So if you go to like their status, low energy, major discomfort, that is because of probably sleeping on the floor. So whatever people I had sleeping on the floor probably have more major discomfort than anyone else. Excuse me. All right, so those beds are getting moved. This power is getting built by your mom's butt. Thank you, your mom's butt. We're going to link the power like we did before. And, oh, the game all tapped. My bad. So it's saying nowhere to rest. But that isn't true. There are places to rest. If we hit comfort, this area is actually really comfortable, so this should go away. There is nowhere to rest over here. It's what it's telling you. The crew needs somewhere to rest, but there is now. I think this is just an old notification probably from last night. So now it's telling us to build a water purifier. We'll click here, resource, water purifier, and we will put one. We'll just put one right over here. Alright, so I think we got a good idea of kind of how the game is tutorializing right now. So after a bit, we might want to jump into a later save so I can show you what it looks like. Mine an asteroid. Okay, great. A little bit more tutorialization before we jump away. Basically, this is important. You need materials. One of the main ways of getting them is... Oh, not that screen. If we click here, T is the hotkey for it. It brings you to this kind of what they call the tactical view. And you can click on these asteroids, and they have different materials. So this one has Energirium, which is basically a crystal that you transform into electricity by feeding it into this machine, the Energirium power generator. And this provides Hyperium, which you would feed into jet and essentially big Energirium jump engines where you jump between systems and planets and all that good stuff. So we want those. So we're gonna hit T. We'll click this, and if you hit this arrow, like the skip button arrow, it just says, okay, bring it all to me. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. All right, now it's telling us to build a recycler. Let's get out of there for now. We'll just get all these materials. This is a derelict ship, and they will go over getting stuff out of a derelict ship through the tutorial. And I don't know if there's one where I am right now in the later save, so we might as well do that as well once they're done doing all this recycling. So, what time is it? Let me look at their schedules really quick. Alright, so we're in the middle of the day, so they could be doing work. They could be doing things for me. First of all, let's build a recycler like the game suggested. The reason the game is probably telling us to build a recycler is because it takes scrap materials and then turns them into usable materials, right? So we'll let them build that out. I bet after we build this, they are going to suggest, hey, now check out the derelict ship, which is this thing right here. It tells you it's a unexplored pirate ship, and you can tell it's derelict because it has like this icon with a slash through it. And that's basically what that means. And the game will tell us that in a bit. All right, but so here we go. Equip your crew members right on time, just as I thought. So we're gonna select these 2 crew members, Rundage and Dr. Gork Wobbler, and we'll tell them to. We're gonna draft them as it does instruct you on how to do it. I'll just show you. So we're gonna select them, right click on the storage, and say pick up. They'll go over. And it'll show you the storage in here. And basically, this is just for guns. So we're going to grab a shotgun, put it in their into their inventory, and we're going to select Rundage. Also select that, and we're going to grab a shotgun for them. And now that we are equipped, they're like, hey, go check out a derelict ship. When drafted, crew members can be ordered to board a shuttle and check out a derelict ship. So we're going to click them, hit draft. Oh wait, I've undrafted them. Hilariously enough. Alright, so they are... Oh, nope, I just undrafted them again. Rundage and Gork. Draft. Gork, please come here. No. Gork. Gork, please. Okay, well, Gork has decided... Oh, no, wait. Gork is now drafted again. Good. So if I... Oh, by the way, shift clicking works in this game, so if I hold shift and I click Rundage and Dr. Gork Wobbler, I can then right click this and tell them to get in. Can I tell Gork? Okay, I guess I undrafted them at some point. Because now they are going out and getting this material. So, we'll go back to the base. I guess we're going to take Gyropunk with us. So we're going to click you. We're going to draft you. You're going to get a gun. Sorry, Gork took the shotgun. So you're just getting a pistol. But you also get in this ship. Get in there, buddy. You can fit 4 people in a regular shuttle. I haven't seen bigger shuttles. Oh, no, I just told them to get out. Whoopsies. All right, they got back in. This is the eject from the ship button. So we got the ship. And now if we hit the tactical view, we can right-click over there. And the ship should just start to go over. Basically, once it goes over there, you're going to want to click dock, select this, which is the docking point, and click accept. And it does explain this to you in here through that text. So they're going over, they're docking. Okay, great. All right, well, they're just sitting here. It's because you have to tell them to get out. And then you just click on the tile where they get out on, and then you can just right click to make a move. It doesn't, oh, I've done it again. But so it doesn't seem to tell you like, hey, left click is move and right click is this, but it's pretty self-explanatory if you've played top-down PC games. It's not that, basic of instruction, but I think if you're checking out this game, you probably understand the concept of right click to move, left click to select. So you can drag to select and then right click to make them explore the ship. So we're gonna come over here. Uh-oh, that is a bad thing. So we are clicking on that. All right, so a bunch of stuff just happened. One, oh god, bugs. One is oh god, bugs. So these are aliens. This is why we brought guns with us, because that's how it be. But 2, we came over here to this object, which is essentially a deep sleep like pod where this person Eamon was sleeping, and we pulled them out of it. Oh no, Eamon, I'm gonna tell you to get out of there. You don't have a gun yet, friends. I'm actually gonna tell Eamon to just go get in this ship, because Eamon doesn't have a gun on them. So we're gonna have Rundage and Gyropunk go ahead and clear the rest of the ship. But basically, sometimes when you go into derelict ships, and there can be people who are just in like a deep cryo sleep, essentially, and you can, once you open them up, they're just your friends and they're going to be part of your crew now. So that's great. Now we have a 5th crew member and they're just chilling in the shuttle for now. What you are supposed to, so it does explain this, fully explore the derelict ship and neutralize any hostiles. Basically, you're doing this because after you fully explore the derelict ship, we can get materials from it and bring it back to our ship. and then the recycler can break down those materials. So just still clearing out these aliens right now. Let's speed it up a little bit. Oh my goodness, there are actually a shit ton of aliens on this first ship here. Let's clear out this room first, and then I'll check out this room on my way out. Okay, we've done it. So, also, this is good. We're going to get some fiction in the game. All right, so they're running out of oxygen, so I'm going to undraft and then undraft them. And then I'm going to click this and hit undraft. And basically what should happen is they know they need oxygen. It's that blue bar above their heads. So they should go to the ship and get oxygen. And actually, because I've undrafted them, naturally they don't want to stay in the ship. They're programmed to go home. So now what we can do, now that we've checked it out, the game is going to tell us, hey, you can fucking get all the cool stuff off of this pirate ship, and it tells you how to do it. I'll just show you. You click, again, the tactical viewer, hit T, you select the ship, you hit salvage, and you select every kind of scrap you want to get from it. It tells you how much stuff is on there, the probability of getting it. And as you start to pull things off of the ship, it goes from down to low eventually, and then down to empty, so there will be no more stuff. So we'll select that, select expedited, because we want to get all the stuff off of there. And then we'll go to transfer. So this is stuff that's on the ship right now that we don't have to rip off of it. These are just goods that are stored on this pirate ship. So we want all of those, so we'll select them, and we'll tell them to bring them home. And just naturally, in the next morning, people will want to do that. All right, so it's the next morning. They're all waking up now. And they're just doing their breakfast routine. If you click here, you can see their schedules. This is like their breakfast time. So you basically have like a dinner time and like a breakfast time. You could also give them a lunch if you want to, but they don't seem to need it. So I've kind of avoided giving them a free hour in the middle of the day, because you really just want your base to advance. And unless anything goes horribly wrong, you just kind of want to keep progressing your game here. So naturally so we just did this derelict ship, right? We just went there, checked it out, we gave them jobs. So now you'll see in the tactical view, this green square, this green diamond is going to the ship, and it's dropping everyone off, and they are going to break down things and transfer things that are on the ship and bring them back to our base. So if I click this again, oh, and by the way, you're zooming out and zooming in with the scroll wheel. That's also pretty self-explanatory for these type of games, but that's how you zoom in and out in this game. And oh my goodness, give me 1 second. I need to turn that off. All right. Okay. So as you can see, they are going through this derelict ship, and they are breaking it all down. That's what that process looks like. Some of them are just transferring the blocks of goods. That's what goods look like. But the ones that are doing this thing where they're going over and like taking essentially an electric screwdriver and breaking it down, or using the little pod over here, that is what scrapping the derelict ship looks like. So they're going to go all around and do that for you. As you can see, Gyropunk is really smart and is low on O2 and is stuck behind somebody carrying a box. And hopefully they get that oxygen that they need. There they go. But yeah, you can see them just breaking down the ship, getting all the good stuff, bringing it back. And so you will get these, build a hull stabilizer. Okay, so that's what it wants us to build next, though. We can start to do space travel. So once that's built, you pretty much have all the basics going, actually. So, so let's look at what some of these mean. So unattended tasks, like we said before, is going to give you that view of showing like, hey, there are jobs around your base and no one's doing them. Generally speaking, I've found it's a good thing to do, and the game isn't going to tell you this. I don't think the developers want to micromanage you too much, but you could tell them like, hey, you can raise and click, where they want to be in this menu, the little person menu, priorities, their schedule, and then ships. That tells you like what they should be doing on different ships. Derelict ships are, the derelict ships, it's anything that's going to be in the sector. If you left click, it raises the importance, like, you should always go to the derelict ships, or you should never go to the derelict ships. Generally speaking, I found it is good to have one person that is never going to derelict ships, because then as items are brought into the base here at the airlock, you see all these things stacking up here. That person who's Rundage, who isn't at the base right now, will kind of always will always essentially be there to transfer those items. So the game doesn't tell you that, but that's just something you kind of need to learn. And they are leaving the ship now, so that's good, I believe. Oh, nope, they're still on the ship. Okay, well, the AI will eventually figure it out and get themselves off of the ship. But until then, some of them have just kind of figured out that they need to move stuff around. So we have all these warnings over here. Let's see what they are saying. Nowhere to rest. It's probably just from last night because one of them was short on a bed. Unattended tasks, like we talked about before. Look at all this. There's all this stuff piled up here. No one's moving it. The airlock is blocked with incoming things. So someone, you know what I'm going to do? Dr. Gorkwobbler is here right now. Let's go ahead and just set them as never leaving. Yeah, you stay there, buddy. So Dr. Gorkwobbler won't leave the base now, and they'll just be our logistics lord. They're just going to carry boxes to and from storage for us. So that's a good use for them. Alright, so they're doing that. Zoom out a little bit. Going over here, and you can see everyone's just doing this still. So this is kind of let's build a hull stabilizer really quick. You know, I'll show you these two things that I think they're going to have us do, and then we will jump to my save. So they're telling us to build a hull stabilizer, which gives us the ability to do space travel. So we'll click hull stabilizer, we'll put it right there. And then we're also going to need we are going to need these Hyperium drives, because that is basically what allows you to do travel between the different planets. So where is Gorkwobbler? Gorkwobbler is mining. So even though they don't go to derelict ships, they still do mining. So they're all going to go to bed. And hopefully, I'm going to set this as high construct priority. And hopefully somebody gets that built in the morning. I'm going to click on this. And we're going to unexpedite this thing so that some people maybe don't go over there. You can also assign, I could assign all of these infrastructure block. I could assign the jobs of having them build this right away, but I think someone will just get on it in the morning. There we go. Yeah. All right. So then also what we're going to do is we're going to edit the ship. Hull stability achieved. So now they're going to say, hey, build these jump drives so that we can jump out of the sector. We go over here. We're just going to build this big area back here because we have enough. It tells you also when you're building hull, how many hull blocks it takes. That's that thing right there. We have 34 hull blocks. So we have a lot of hull blocks to mess with, so we can most certainly afford to build onto this big area back here. And so what the game is telling you need to do is, hey, in order to jump, you need to have jump drives, and you also need to have a navigation console. So I'm going to close on this. Nowhere to rest. I don't know why they're saying that. Let's see. Do they have... Look on this really quick. So here if we click on our objects and go to system, like where it's telling us to build these things, it looks like they haven't updated. So right now they're telling us like, hey, build 2 Hyperium hyperdrives. Oh, they did update this. So there's because there's a tech tree now, there are different levels of the jump drives. There is a Hyperium jump drive, which just uses the raw material, and then there is just a hyperdrive, which uses this material but refined into these little green balls, which is what it was before. But so from the jump now, you're just going to build these kind of old, shitty jump drives that use a raw material and are kind of less efficient. We're also going to need this navigation console. Put it right there, because we don't really care about this looking pretty. It looks like it's already nighttime again, so they're going to go to sleep. I think I'm going to skip to the next morning so we don't have to watch their sleep period. It did just tell us, though, that in the next morning there is an incoming ship, which is cool. It'll give us a chance to show you what trade looks like, so I'll show you what that looks like in the morning as well. I'm gonna set this to a high construction priority, and that to a high construction priority. We're gonna need to build another jump drive here in a second, so because the game will request that of us. I think I might see if they're not done transferring for this derelict ship yet. I'm gonna pull them off of this really quick. Go to transfer, select everything, bring it back to the base, and that way we'll just kind of move on with this. We get the idea of what getting the stuff from the derelict ship looks like. We kind of might want to move on. So the Hyperium drive will go there, and of course we need power to be delivered to these things. So put power on the floor. Even though they'll be powered by a material, they still do have to be hooked up to power. So we'll click that. Link. Good. We're good to go. All right, and now that we have the navigation console, we also need an operation console because that's like how you communicate with other ships, and you also need to use that to do the jumps. So we're going to build that right there. We'll select this, high construction priority, and hit fast forward. Great, they're going to build it first doggone thing. All right, so now that that's built, if we click on this button here, this view systems. Oh, it's also going to tell us how to research. That is important, so let's do that really quick. Resources. I believe it's called, is it a facility? It is, a research lab. So they haven't touched this at all yet, which is probably good because researching is, you know, it's new, so it's one of the more complicated things. I'll tell them to build that as well. So at this point, if we want, we can do a hyper jump. And I'm going to do that so that we can kind of finish out this tutorialization and I can show you what my game looks like. So when you click on this, this is your this is really your space travel button. I forgot what, view systems. So this is, well, I guess it's not just for space travel. It's for navigation, shields, operation. You basically want them all on, so it's on auto. And the game is explaining this here. We're going to prepare for hyper jump. So when you click that, basically someone goes to the navigation console and the engines get ready to jump. Once that happens, people cannot go to or from the ship, which is bad because we have currently have a bunch of people that aren't on the ship. So I'm going to unready us. I'm going to hit prepare to jump again, and hopefully they just kind of come back naturally. They should just kind of all leave. All right, good. Because I'm basically saying, hey, we're getting ready to leave the sector. Don't fucking go anywhere. So the ship comes in and everybody comes back. So I am going to, so also when you turn on the hyper jump, it says, hey, make sure all this stuff's here, because if you leave without it, it's not going to be there. So we'll hit jump. And this is kind of more in the FTL aspect of the game now, that I mentioned right at the top. So when you get into this overview screen, you can see different, basically planets or sectors. There might not really be a planet there, but they're different sectors in a solar system that have different materials. So I can jump over here, and if I drop here, I know that I can get this material. I can get Energium, and I can also get this material, which lets me build like technology blocks and stuff like that. I can also jump over here and mine whatever is here, right? So you get the idea. There's different materials at different places. That's great. Also, depending on how heavy your ship is and how many engines you have on your ship, so it's like 1,600 tons, and our engines can support, so it's a little bit heavier than what the engines can support, but we can still do 15 hyper jumps. So that means I can click here, I can click here, and you see the numbers just tick down as I'm doing that. So I can go to all these different places. I am actually going to go over here where this ship is, and we'll drop so that you can see what trade looks like, because there are going to be other ships here. Now that we've built a research station, they're probably going to tell you how to research things in the game. So if I click on this button, it'll show you the research tree. And basically, you can see how massive it is. You research things by, having somebody go sitting at the research station and researching. So if I click on if I click on this little person thing and I hit priorities, I can see, okay, well, who has researching as a priority? No one does at the moment. So no one's going to go over there and get the research for me. So I'm just going to like enforce them, like say like, hey, you all care a lot about research on their priorities, and then someone will do it. Now if I click here on the research trees, I can select what I want them to research next. So by default, in this kind of tutorial game, there are a couple things that have already been researched. Actually, it's just basics and fabrics, which is the default. There's really nothing else researched at the moment. So we'll just search the assembler because that's needed for building more complicated items. So we'll just select the assembler. So when someone starts to research, that's what they start to look into. And as they research, you can just hover over this and it'll tell you the percentage of how far they have researched into that thing. So that's good. But that's kind of it in terms of like getting your basic ship up and running and the tutorial of the game. There's more tutorial in terms of them explaining to you how to go through the star systems and whatnot, but this is basically a functioning ship now. We get food, we can get resources, we have jumps, we have a navigation console and a communications console. We basically have a functioning ship at this point. There's a place for them to sleep, there's a place for them to research. It's going. So that's pretty good. I think like within an hour or so, I think right now we're at like 40 or 50 minutes of recording time. The game kind of gets you introduced to all the basic concepts and gets you going. I obviously helped us along a little bit because I want to just kind of show you like, what it's like when you start. But, if I can help educate you while you're watching this, that's going to be useful for you if you pick it up. So really quick, let's see what the trading screen looks like. So if you can get to trading by clicking this button and then selecting the ship and hitting trade, or you could double click on this and it'll bring you over to that ship. So if I double click on this, or I could hit trade, it also shows you trade allowed when you can trade with the faction. So we're at the ship now. We click trade. You can see what they want and what they have on offer. And you can click new trade and you can see all these different things. If I hit hail, you can call them and you can make like offers. You can do different things when you talk to them. But most of the time I'm just trading with them. Sometimes you'll talk to people because you might find a derelict ship that has their type of people on them, and they will come aboard your ship and essentially be refugees. They're literally called refugees, and they can do basic tasks on your ship. And then if you see this faction later on, they'll call you and be like, hey, we heard you have some of our refugees. We'll give you resources if you give them to us. And you can say like, no, fuck you. I'm basically a space pirate. Or you can accept the trade offer and give them those people back. So that's pretty cool. I'll hit trade really quick just so you can see what that's like if you just trade with them. So let's say I want a super block and it says it's $500 and I have no money. Then I need to select different materials that you can only do up to 10. So you kind of have to do this fun math of like, well, what combination of things can I give them that I won't miss that gives me enough money to buy that resource. So let's just pretend I think 2 energy cells is a good trade for a super block, except then the trade will happen. And we can see, if we zoom out, we can see our little green ship. The trade will start. You'll see our ships exchange. They go to one another. They deliver the goods. They pick up the goods. And then they go back to our respective ships. And that's that. So yeah, that's basically the introduction to the game. I think it does a pretty good job, honestly, in terms of getting you to grips with how you're supposed to play. It's pretty easy in terms of like your people aren't going crazy or dying right off the bat. They tell you how to feed them, how to get them to sleep, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead now and look at my ship and where I am in the game, just to give you, how does it translate later on. So I'll hit escape, hit load. I think mine is currently named Small Ship 4, which is my latest save. Let load on that. All right. It is dangerous to go alone. Your chances of beating aliens radically improve if you have an away team of 4 crew members. That's true. All right, so we click on one of my people. I don't know why I was zoomed in on some random place. This is my ship right now. I think I have about, I don't know if it tells you when you load. Let's see if when you load, if it tells you how much time you have on it. It does not. It just tells you when it was last saved. Okay, well, I think I would say I probably have a dozen or so hours, maybe closer to 20 hours on this save. And you can see a lot of the same basic things. I just have more of them. And also my research tree is more filled out. Basically, this ship, it kind of looks very scattershot, but there is some method to it. There is some organization to the ship. But basically, when I first started out building it, I kind of just wanted to make a funky shape and see if I could make it work. And I'd say it works for the most part. At this point, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 crew members. And they're all functioning together pretty well. I haven't lost anyone to to aliens. No one's died from my crew yet. So basically, I think you started with how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, I did lose someone when I first built the ship. So there's a different way to start the game. And you basically start off at a mining station and build your own ship in this little block over here from a mining station. So if you do that, the little people have to literally go out and physically build the ship as you're commanding them. It's way harder to start the game like that. I do not recommend starting the game like that the first time you play it. Genuinely play on the little block ship that they start you off with. You still get 90% of the experience. It's just easier to kind of see the A to Z if you start from that point. So that's my recommendation to you. Also, the game recommends that. If you try to do it as your first game, it's hey, maybe you should do this is your first game. So it does tell you that as well. So yeah, so I have anyway, oh yeah, so it starts off with 6 people in that situation, and one of them just didn't get back to their bed at the mining station and just died. So I actually started with 5 people, and then I found Phoenix, I believe, in a sleeping chamber. And I found Leonard, who was a pirate. I fought off some pirates. One of them was remaining after all of the guns were shot, and I took them as a prisoner. When you take prisoners, by the way, I guess I can explain this really quick. You have to go into this button here, build, edit, and then you can set prisoner areas. So this was marked off as a prisoner area, so nobody but prisoners could sleep in here. I'm going to clear the prisoner area now, because I don't want prisoners sleeping there. I think this is actually, this is refugee area. I can explain that in a bit, but that's basically just anywhere where it allows refugees to go in the base. So a lot of the areas were marked for it so that they could do work on my ship, because they'll help you with things while they're your refugees. So that's great. But yeah, so Scourge was a prisoner for a bit. Basically, if you treat if you treat the prisoner better, if they have food and if they're well fed, and if their area is comfortable to live in, they will convert and become one of your space folks a lot faster. So instead of treating them like trash, treat them well, and they will like you, and they will be part of your fleet. So yeah, I recommend recommend doing that. I'm gonna hit play just so you can watch my people move around. As you can see, I'm a little low in Energirium in this run right now. I think I have 1. Yeah, I have 1. But I have 16 energy rods, which are converted Energirium. So that is a good segue into me showing you the research tree. So as I kind of talked about at the beginning of the video, the research tree really does extend the playtime and experience of the game, in my opinion, in a really good way. Excuse me. Basically, as you go through and decide which things are important to you in research, it's going to define what you're building next. And you really do want to get more of these advanced systems going in your ship, because the resources that you consume for the lower level engines, so the first set of engines, which are Hyperium hyperdrives versus a regular hyperdrives, as you can see, these are all regular hyperdrives because they all have 2 engines on 1 unit. The Hyperium hyperdrive consumes this material raw, where basically these consume the translation actually from the green Hyperium crystals to the hyperfuel little green orbs is actually 1-to-1, but these consume the rods at these consume the little orbs at half the rate that the Hyperium hyperdrives consume this. So even though it's a 1-to-1 translation for the fuel, the consumption is halved when you jump to this, because basically there's 2 engines, so it's twice as effective at consuming the fuel. So it's a good thing to upgrade. But that's really what the research tree is there for. You're just going through and, selecting what you think is most important, so you can advance the ship, and that you in a way that you see, okay, well, this is lacking, this is going to help me, this is going to help me. The tree is kind of pretty, it's decently big. It's not absurd, but the tree is decently big. And depending on how many people you have researching, it can take a while to get to certain points on the tree. So you really got to see, what is important to you. As you can see, I have two people researching right now, because I was like, man, my research has gone slow. So I built another research station, and I assigned research is really important for these people. As you can see, also having people start off with a good scattering of skills is important, because out of my 7 people, only 3 of them can research. So that's kind of rough. So when you're starting with your people, I recommend in not doing what I did, where in the beginning I said, I just like to hit the random button and see what happens. That wasn't a good idea, because then I became lacking in certain things that are really important for advancing the game. And research is really important. And so is industry. And as you can see, I only have 3 people that can do industry. So that's also really rough for me. Industry is when you go to certain machines like this assembler or the advanced assembler, and the jobs are refining, tech block or energy block or whatever. Those jobs, it'll tell you what the job type is. And those jobs are considered industry. So only having a few people that can do those is pretty rough. Let me see, what else? So, yeah, I'm about 12 hours into this game. And this is how big my ship is right now. It's, maybe about half, 60% filling up this whole area here. Let's take a look around the ship, and you can kind of see what I've done. I think it's smart to basically localize certain things to where they should be, and that's just something I don't want to kind of, now we can do shields, yay. All right, select research, and we'll say shield generators, because you can have a shield console, but you need shields to be generated in order to use them. Awesome. So it's good to, anyway, like I was saying, it's good to localize things on your ship, because then when you hit, let's look at the comfort thing again. As you can see, the shuttles and the pods, all very uncomfortable to be around. These engines, and power generators, very uncomfortable to be around. And then I have the storage area, which kind of acts like a buffer between the kitchen area and our growing foods area, because you want that to be comfortable, because this is where people socialize and hang out while they're eating. And so you want there to kind of be buffer areas between the places where it sucks to be. This is really where my manufacturing effort happens. This is where my space travel happens. This is where the power production happens. You want there to be buffers in between those shitty areas and your living quarters. So where you sleep and where you eat, pretty much. I have to say, so I haven't spoken super critically in the video, and this is supposed to be I've kind of just explained how do you play the game, and how does it all function. And I kind of went into teacher mode a little bit, and just explained how it all works, because the game is very systems heavy, so it just kind of lends itself to that, right? But you'll probably notice I wasn't complaining a whole lot when I was doing it, and that's because the game is really good. I think, I said at the top, I want to talk about if there's good value to this game. I think this game is kind of fantastic value. It's $23, wherever you're going to buy it, and then plus tax. But there's a lot of there are so many different ways to build out your base. The research tree adds like a long tail in terms of you can't just get the resources and immediately build what you need. I think before the research tree was implemented, before this recent update, I think it could have been seen as being a little lacking because you can get all the things you need and then it's just really about the creativity of your base. But I think that added a good restriction on the player in terms of really guiding their experience and what they think is most important to them. There's also just a lot of different ways to play the game, right? You can also play the game more role-play and really care about your little people on the ship and what their status is, what their skills are, essentially and play to their likes and dislikes. And you can, really play it as like almost a Sims kind of thing, right? And you have to a certain degree to get them to operate well. Anyway, but it really lends itself to a lot of different ways of playing. If you want to really focus on building your ship, if you want to focus on exploration and exploring the different places in the galaxy and the different planets and stuff like that, you can be really an explorer type person. You can really focus on the fun base building. There are some people I've seen that are just like, I've basically made a food court spaceship where they have tons of food production and they have tons of places to eat, and their whole thing is just getting as many crew members as they can to like enjoy this big food court. I saw somebody that made an entirely solar powered spaceship that had a ton of batteries. These are batteries, they can hold up to 1,000 watts of power, and I think these things only hold up to 500. These are like the power generators. So basically they just focused on having the solar panels and then a bunch of batteries, because solar doesn't take in a lot of energy, but you can offset that by having it be stored all the time. So then when your power is getting drawn on by these different machines, you can rely on the batteries to have all that backup power because your solar generation is not that great. But yeah, the game is really, there's a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of stuff that you can learn and prioritize in terms of how you're building out your base, your crew, how you're playing the game. Yeah, I'm really into it. So if I had to say, would I recommend this right now for where it is in development for $20? I mean, $20 is going to be relative to you, but for me, it's definitely worth it. I think I've probably put close to 20 hours. No, it's definitely more. Probably close to 30 hours at this point because I've done a few runs. This is my third run right now. I probably put close to 30. Honestly, it could be closer to 40. I put 30 hours into it, and I'm not done with the research tree. Partially that's on me because I wasn't focusing on research enough when I first started this run. But, I haven't finished researching everything yet. I don't even have weapons or shields up on the ship yet. So you can really, if you want, you could basically be a fucking space pirate. There's just so many different ways to play the game. I think the value is really there because if you're into base building and if you're into like this fun fictional space travel type game, you can really tell so many different stories. And that's really what I think these base building type of games are good at, is the storytelling, right? It's what happens to these people and in your base while you're trying to manage it all, right? And I think the game does a fantastic job at that. So I would, if you are into that kind of thing, if you're into deep systems management and base building and, kind of FTL like space exploration, I would say, yeah, pick it up. It's a ton of fun. I haven't talked about this, but the music's pretty good. If you hear that in the background right now, it's nice. It's chill. I think it fits the game pretty well. The music's good. I think it looks fantastic. Another thing I think it does well is the art style. The art style looks good, but also the menus I think are intuitive. That is a problem I have with RimWorld and some other base building games, is I think the menus are kind of jank, and it can be difficult to figure out what the fuck you're doing. I also think because the art style is so clean, like this really colorful, clean, pixelated art style, it makes it really easy to visually read. You can really discern what is happening at your base and figure out quickly what you need to be doing to improve it or fix it, etc., etc., etc. You get the idea. So yeah, I gotta say it's a thumbs up for me right now, where it is at its alpha 10 stage of development. Maybe, in a few updates from now I'll come back and, say, oh darn, they fucking put microtransactions into it and ruined it, but I kind of doubt that. I think the developer is doing a really good job, and I'm excited to kind of see where it goes, to be honest. So yeah, check it out. I highly recommend it. If you thought this video was good, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. I'm live pretty regularly, almost every weekday on Twitch at twitch.tv/BagelBrother. Go check me out there. I've been playing a lot of this lately. I also play a lot of Satisfactory and other, well, those are basically that, but I've been playing a lot of base building games. Those two, but I also like to check out other indie games. I really love, I gotta say, like, playing indie games and just seeing what's out there and in development is a lot of fun to me. I really love seeing how the developers think, what improve, like, I like seeing what developers do throughout the process and working with the community to improve their game and taking that feedback. That's really fun for me to just watch and kind of be a voyeur in that development process. So I'm probably going to do more videos like this, where I just talk about, hey, here's this game, here's what's going on right now, how's it doing? Because it's just a lot of fun for me. I really enjoy this kind of thing. But yeah, so I've gone on way too long. Thank you everybody for watching and checking this out. Wait until my next video where I probably do the same thing with Satisfactory. Until then, have a good one. Also, I'm on social media at The Bagel Brother if you care about that. But yeah, have a good one, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.